Hello, this video is going to be about the course structure at University of the People. Okay, there are 5 9-week courses per academic year, and in each course there are 8 learning weeks which begin on Thursday and end the following Wednesday. The last week, which isn't a full week, is the final exam period, and that is Thursday through Sunday. And if you have anything if you wanted to save any of the stuff that you submitted throughout the week, I recommend doing that before the end of the final exam period, because once the course is over, you will not have access to those materials anymore. So if you wanted to save like your assignments or your discussion forum posts or anything like that, be sure to do that before the end of the final week, because once that's done, then you will not have access to that anymore. A lot of students use some of their work in their portfolio, building a professional portfolio, which is a great idea. If you think you want to do that, then you should know, starting out, how to like organize your portfolio as you progress through your courses. And yesterday, a prospective student asked me if spoken English was required for the courses, which was a great question, so I'd like to discuss that. You only need to communicate via written English, but some courses have optional videos that you can watch that explain some of the concepts, and these videos were fantastic in aiding in my understanding of the material. So if you want an opportunity to practice your verbal comprehension, I highly suggest watching those. I also believe non-native English speakers are required to take an extra course that ensure your written communication is sufficient. Also, everyone is required to take a course called Online Education Strategies, which talks about how to succeed in an online and predominantly self-motivated environment. This might seem like a bit boring or pointless, but please really take to heart the concepts discussed in that class, especially intrinsic motivation. Learn how to adapt and adjust your attitude about learning as needed in a way that will get you towards your goals. Everybody experiences moments when they're struggling and they doubt the path they're on, but those moments are often temporary and end when you rediscover your reasons for being in school. Always think back to what you learned in online education strategies about your learning objectives, style, and final goals, and you will get a strong sense of progress that will keep you engaged. What you get out of your education is, often corresponds to your attitudes. Now for the actual structure of each course. Note that no late work is accepted. I have only had 2 instances so far where I've been in that kind of boat. Both of them were learning journals. The first one was, there was a learning journal that was due on the American holiday of Thanksgiving, and I forgot. I'm very sorry. The other time was also a learning journal, but sometimes the final learning journal of the course are actually due on Wednesday as opposed to Thursday, and I forgot that fact in programming 2. The last assignment, the last learning journal, was due on Wednesday, and I went to turn it in on Thursday, and it was too late. So yeah, just keep that in mind, that sometimes that does happen, but if you pay attention to the course forums, and the instructors will sometimes send out messages like, hey, just a reminder, you have to pay attention to that stuff. Each week you will be required to complete some combination of the following. Reading assignments. By the way, all the resources are provided free of charge. Many of the textbooks have been donated by just textbook authors who have a real passion for their subjects, so they want to ensure that students can learn despite their financial setbacks or whatever. So honestly, a lot of those resources have been fantastic for me so far. I really enjoy the textbooks and the reading assignments that we've been given. The discussion forum is another one. Homework assignments, self-quizzes, graded quizzes, and learning journals, which again are sometimes used as a way to submit an additional assignment in the course. You really have to look ahead, when the course first starts. You can get a sense for whether that's going to be the case. If you look at the first learning journal of the week of the course and it's like an assignment, then probably all of them are going to be like that. The weeks vary on tasks and even per course, so it's really important to learn as early in the week as possible what will be required so you can plan for extra time if you need it. An example is if you need to plan for time to study for a graded quiz, which only happens twice per course. So you'll want to know if there's a graded quiz that week. You want to give yourself some extra time to study for that. You should really sign in at least in the beginning of the week so you can take a look at what's all going to be required and maybe think about how you can plan your week that way. It is also important to plan for time to read all of the textbook readings, assigned readings, if there's anything on. Sometimes the readings are online, and watch videos if they're available. If you do nothing else, no outside research, which is not something that I endorse, then you really should read everything and take a few notes for yourself of things that you think will be important later. The act of writing notes helps you to map ideas and build connections, which is important for the learning process. Summarizing the topic in your own words also helps build connections. All of these activities must be performed regularly for you to get the most out of what you're learning. And I promise once you start doing this, once you make a habit of doing this, it will become second nature to you and you will start to develop your curiosity. Just let it fuel you, wherever your mind, like if you have a burning question about something, look it up, see what other people are saying about that. You never know. I like to indulge my curiosities, and that's why I like to, take a little bit extra time during the week to really, get into that week's subjects, to really, learn all there is to know in that time frame that I could possibly learn about the subject to, sort of navigate and make connections that might not otherwise come. The discussion forum is one of the more magical places, in my opinion, of the school. And I say magical because I really feel like it's magical. I have been honored to be in class with all types of people from all over the world who have been through so many different events throughout their lives. I love when the other students share anecdotes of their lives when they answer to the discussion forum questions, but also I've met really intelligent people who have already have established careers in the tech fields or other fields, and their expertise is also invaluable in the discussion. Honestly, I wish more people would share more about their lives in the discussion forum, because that is something that really interests me. I want to know how other people are making their education happen for them, what kind of obstacles they overcome. I know some people that go to this school who are overcoming overwhelming odds, like just juggling all sorts of terrible or very busy or, very just things that I can't even imagine going through. I don't have any children. I'm not supporting anybody, just myself. So, knowing that there are people at this school who are also doing all of those things, it inspires me a great deal. And I want to give my best. I want to put my best self into this, in their honor, because I feel like it's how I respect others, So yeah, I really expect that trend, the quality of the students, the people, everybody in the school really wants to succeed, and I expect that to continue. The content of the discussion forum, from what I've picked up on so far, usually involves either describing or creating an example of some key concept, or an open-ended question with no right or wrong answer. It's just designed to get you to think about different possibilities and how to discuss them calmly with others without giving away too much about the discrete math course. I will tell you the first week's discussion forum was about mathematical notation. That discussion forum helped me to realize that one of the greatest challenges in math education is learning and remembering all the various operations on numbers and how to communicate that to others exactly. Knowing this is a common challenge helped me to focus extra energy throughout the course memorizing what the notations meant. That strategy paid off big time. If I didn't remember exactly how to perform an operation later, at least I knew exactly where to find the answer. Even when my discussion forum answers are wrong, I still love to read the other students' perspectives and adjust my understanding accordingly. Plus, I love reading the comments from the other students because mostly everyone can usually pick out inaccuracies and tell them to me in a way that's respectful and not condescending. I strive to be gentle with my criticism as well, but that is hard for me sometimes when I feel like students don't put enough effort into their work. I get it. sometimes you're just not going to have a great week, or something happens, or you just don't feel into it. But I think sometimes you can put a little bit more effort than anyway. Yeah, so I just feel a little negatively when I feel like students aren't doing their best. The discussion forums can only benefit us all when everyone tries their best by performing the readings and answering accordingly, not based on their initial intuition, because intuition is often wrong. And that's why we get an education, to know how to be less wrong. It requires consistent work, which ideally continues throughout the entirety of one's life. Formal education should instill habits in us that make the process as effective as possible, which includes teaching us how we can better learn from each other. I think that's very important. I'm very pro-social, and I think that if we really try to learn how to learn from each other more, then we will be able to overcome challenges of the future. The homework assignments are also very wildly varied in completion time and activity. Depending on the class, sometimes you'll write a paper, sometimes you'll build some virtual circuits. That was very cool. Sometimes you'll solve a series of math problems or analyze one math problem several different ways. And sometimes you'll write entire programs. I mean, there have been times in my programming classes where, yeah, I've written programs. I've done that. I have them in my computer saved, and I can run them now if I want. A key piece of information here, every student should be aware, and I've talked about this in previous videos, plagiarism is not tolerated and quite frankly will be caught. You should cite everything, even if you are only using the textbook. Besides, when you want to share great resources with the class, I enjoy looking at external sources that have helped other students. That being said, when you submit your homework, you will have an opportunity to grade 3 other students based on a provided rubric. You will get to see other explanations that will hopefully provide you with insight if you spend time analyzing other students' work. You'll also be scored on the way you grade other students. This punishes outliers, so you'll want to grade as closely to the rubric and as honestly as possible. So you really have to, like for programs, you have to run the programs, you have to see if they work, what are the outputs, and for the essays, read the essays. For the math, I know sometimes with the formatting, and it's really frustrating to get to write equations and submit them electronically. I'm a fan of writing them out on paper, taking a picture and uploading a picture. But my handwriting is I try to make it very neat. Some people, if you're going to do that, make your handwriting as neat as possible and format the image so it's not sideways, or just make it so that people can read it. That's the only thing that I have to say about the format. Sometimes when people submit their assignments or their posts, it's not easily readable. So just make sure that you make it as easy for other people to read as possible, and that will make it easier for people to give you a grade that you deserve. So if other students grade honestly and as close to the rubric as possible, then you will receive high marks in this area. And that's how we all succeed, by being honest without trying to game the system. The self-quizzes are usually there every week, unless there's a graded quiz. In some classes, if there's a graded quiz, there may not be a self-quiz. Self-quizzes are non-graded multiple choice and sometimes typed entry quizzes that are helpful in practicing new skills. I highly recommend studying those because some of the questions are on the graded quizzes. Also, there's usually they're not too long usually, and they're a good way to see if there's some subject you need to study more. The graded quizzes have the same format as the self-quizzes, but usually happen twice per course. Plus the final exam. They're timed, but typically the time is plenty. Only about twice have I ever really, become anxious about running out of time, and I never actually have so far. I tend to do worse on my graded quizzes than the rest of my assignments because the timed aspect does give me anxiety a bit. I'm the kind of person that wants to have lots of time to complete activities, but honestly, I know it gives me anxiety, but even if I do worse on the graded quizzes because of that, the rest of my when everything is all said and done, it's all a part, of a larger grading scheme. So it's not really going to make a huge difference if I do less, if I'm not as good on one part as I am on another. So I tell myself that to kind of calm myself down before the graded quizzes, to hopefully do a little better. So yeah, finally I'll discuss the learning journals. I also really love the learning journals, despite their seemingly flowery title. The learning journals, when they're actually designed as a learning journal in the course instead of used as like another assignment submission, because the questions are like, how do you feel about what you've learned? Did this change your mind at all about what you've learned? And those kind of questions. The learning journal is an exceptionally powerful tool in education because it helps you be mindful of your personal reactions and feelings to the subjects you're learning. This is an extremely important part of the process because our feelings can steer us in the wrong direction. Our brains are wired in such a way that might enable us to survive in harsh conditions. But these reactions are counterproductive to the pursuit of truth. Tim Urban calls this our fog, and it wraps around our minds, shielding us from fully realizing that our behaviors and thoughts and beliefs might not actually be the way things are or should be. I have shed a great number of incorrect assumptions or notions about our world, and I fully expect to do this much more as I continue learning. In fact, I look forward to it because it leads to a more accurate understanding of the world. I know I can never fully know truth with a capital T, but that is the condition we all share. We don't need to reach that state as long as we can say we're living our life as honestly as we can throughout the process. The learning journals really force you to address your discomfort learning something new that challenges your beliefs. Just because you have that feeling of discomfort doesn't make the new knowledge any more or less accurate. The only way to address your doubts honestly, is to be mindful of them and to be on the lookout for further information that could either support or reject what you just learned. That all being said, I highly suggest everyone takes the environmental science course at this school. Although that class was one where the learning journal was another assignment where you answer specific questions about that week's main topic, I took it upon myself to reflect on the true state of our environment. If you learn the heartbreaking way that we treat the natural world, you cannot, in good conscience, continue participating in such destructive behaviors. My aspirations and lifestyle choices have changed dramatically since learning more about the scientific evidence we have about our environment. I wish I could do even more, and I'm on the lookout for ways to cut down on my impact as much as possible. I'd like to make one last point about the peer grading system at this school. There's a lot of buzz as well as anxiety about this part of the learning week. I have found that the general education courses usually have a lot of students really struggling with the specific details and minutia about peer grading. There's no need. In my opinion, there's no need to focus on too much energy on picking a grade. In a situation where you're unclear about how to grade someone, rather than contacting your instructor, you can check out the school's open forums on the topic, as well as their wonderful guides to the process. What actually matters more is your constructive feedback to the other student regarding their work. If you believe the student was in error, say why. Perhaps link them to an online resource you think might benefit them. And above all, be respectful. People make mistakes. You will make mistakes. I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Think about how you'd want to be told that you're wrong. Also, these days, I tend to give the benefit of the doubt if it is clear the student did provide a good effort based on the rubric and my understanding of the material. Also, FYI, submit your assignments anonymously. That is the accepted practice. So don't worry, people aren't going to know it was you. You don't have to put your name on the assignment. That's not required. There's no place that says, this was submitted by such and such student. So if you feel like maybe you got off on the wrong foot with somebody in the discussion forum, there's absolutely no way that there could be any grading retaliation going on there. I'm pretty sure that, of course, the system isn't perfect, and I know that there are some. I'm sure that there are some incidents where there have been some kind of grading retaliation, maybe in the discussion forum when everybody knows that who everyone is. But at the same time, I personally haven't witnessed that. I just feel like that the fact that everyone is coming together, there are going to be some conflict sometimes. But just so you know, I personally have never experienced that, nor have I really heard any terrible examples of people, grading others poorly because of they don't like what they say or something. I've only graded people poorly if they don't put enough effort or if their assignment is just wrong. So yeah, the instructors are all volunteers. Most of them are absolutely wonderful people who truly want you to succeed. So please consider this if you want to contact your instructor for any reason. Think about where you might find the answer yourself first. Solving problems on your own comes with a great feeling of accomplishment, as long as the solution works for everyone. Compromise might be in order, but that's life. One last thing I'd like to say before I conclude this video is in regards to grades. So my personal philosophy is that I do not pay a great deal of attention to my grades. I'll usually only contact my instructor about my grades if I'm missing one. Even if if I've submitted something on time and they're just like it just never got peer graded, I'll tell my professor, like, hey, do you mind reviewing this? Do you think I deserve tell me what grade you think I deserve? And they're usually pretty good about that. But otherwise, I won't fight someone for 5 points or 3 points. If someone feels like they need to give me a 50% on my assignment, I'm just going to read what they say, because a lot of times those people do tell you why they're giving you that grade, and maybe learn how to do better in the future. Because, like I said, it's a learning experience, and if you want to really practice your communication and your understanding of the world, then someone's going to tell you need to work on something, and you have to be able to take that without feeling embarrassed for yourself or, sad that you got something wrong. Because if you can do that, if you can master that skill, then you're going to really grow faster than a lot of other people. And that's really all there is to it. That's why I try very hard to take constructive criticism better, because I've known in the past, I've been very sensitive to criticism. So that's something that I work on. And even making these videos, if somebody else has an alternative opinion, I want to hear about it in the comments. Tell me how you feel in the comments, but just be respectful. I really want to hear what other people have to say and grow from that. And it would be a nice thing if somebody were to have some advice for me, or anybody. So yeah, even though I have this philosophy, I still have only received A's and B's at this school, because I do my best work. The classes are about to get much more difficult, so I will discuss with everyone in the future if this philosophy will continue to serve me well, or if I'll need to change my strategy, which I am open to. But right now, learning is more fun when I don't worry about the grades I get. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope to see you around for my next one. I thought I was going to be able to make 2 today. I don't think that's going to be happening. It's already getting kind of late. I have to work tomorrow. But my next video is going to be about the University of the People's lack of regional accreditation, and my feelings regarding that. I definitely have some things to say about the, why even bother mentality. Yeah, that will be my next video. Okay, well, take care, guys. Bye.